What language does God speak? Hebrew? English? Australian? Or perhaps the one we best understand? Lee had a high-profile career in the recruitment industry. In his role as National Accounts Director, he was responsible for overseeing 2,000 staff across multiple client accounts. It was a fast-paced and high-pressure position that involved leading strategic meetings, negotiating multi-million-dollar contracts, and frequent travel around the world. Though it was often demanding and stressful, Lee thrived at first. But after 13 years, Lee began to experience a deep sense of unfulfillment. Life was still good, but something was missing. In the midst of his growing dissatisfaction, Lee had a vivid dream. This was unusual since Lee rarely remembered his dreams. In the dream, Lee saw himself at the office, standing in front of his treasured whiteboard. Lee was a big fan of whiteboards. He used them all the time to manage his staff and had multiple boards installed in his office. He even had a portable board for his travels. In the dream, there were several words written on the whiteboard. In the centre was written Lee's job title, National Accounts Director. Then, written in a circle around his job title were other areas of his life: family, friends, God, and church. These were all written in non-permanent marker that were easily erased. But for some reason, his job title was written in permanent ink. No matter how hard he tried, it couldn't be erased. When Lee woke up, he knew what God was saying. His job had become the most important area of his life, and everything else had been relegated to second place. After a heartfelt conversation with his wife, Lee began to reorder his priorities. Later, he began to explore a new path for his career, one that would better reflect God's call on his life. Lee's God conversation shows us what language God speaks. The Holy Spirit spoke in the language Lee was familiar with. God spoke whiteboard. The language God used communicated specifically to Lee's situation. This is the beauty of the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit speaks to remind us of Jesus and then to apply Jesus' teachings to our unique situations. On earth, Jesus had already spoken to the disciples about how to order their life priorities. God's kingdom was to be sought first, and then all the other areas would be provided for. Back then, of course, Jesus spoke the language of Aramaic, using the idioms and metaphors of first-century Jews. But in Lee's life, the Holy Spirit now took those truths and applied them using language of a 21st century executive. In other words, the Holy Spirit acted as a kind of translator, communicating the truth of Jesus to Lee in contemporary ways. Perhaps now we can see why Jesus said it was for our good that he left. The same Holy Spirit that spoke to Lee has been given to each one of us. As in Lee's life, the Spirit takes the universal truths of Jesus and translates it to our personal situations so that we can understand and action it. What language then does God speak? The one we can best understand and follow. Thanks for listening to Everyday God Conversations today. For more on having your own God conversations, subscribe to our email updates at godconversations.com. And I'll see you next time.